Welcome to the Mentor Podcast, where the most highly motivated entrepreneurs come to get their weekly dose of financial stability with host Ron LeGrand, as well as other nationally recognized thought leaders who will teach you how to get, grow, and protect your wealth.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Mentor Podcast. This is Ron LeGrand. Our mission is to help you make more money, make it faster, reduce your risk, and retire wealthy. And in order to do that, we have to have a varying degree of the subjects, and man, are we varying today. I got my friend Wright Thurston on the other end of this podcast today, and he's going to talk to you about a subject I'm sure you've never heard anybody speak on before, and that is collectibles. Now, before you go trying to prejudge what that means, relax, just take it easy, and you're going to see that you're going to like Wright's message. But before we do that, Wright, how far do you and I go back? Gosh, I don't know, 50 years? I don't know.
Oh, no, no, it's been a long time, my friend. We've done so many things together. I know things that I hear about to this day are the boot camps that you and Dan Kennedy and I did on helping people be better speakers and better promoters.
Yeah, golly, we taped that, and that's probably one of the best things courses that I ever created, and people still buying it, and they rave about it. So
I agree. I get all kinds of speakers coming up saying they got their start from that. So, but Ron, I think our friendship's gone back 25, 30 years.
I hope you remember, because I sure don't. I don't remember. We're back in the early days, in the early 80s. I know that.
Right. Right.
Well, listen, I want another subject I want you to get in here on, because you've kind of become an expert on it, and that's cryptocurrency. So let's start with collectibles and explain to us what the heck does that mean, and how do we make money with that? Because I'm not looking to collect stamps for a living. I just want to know how we can get money out of collectibles, and I'm anxious to hear this too. I know we talked about it once, but I probably was thinking about something else, or somebody was talking to me. So talk to me. What do we need to know about collectibles?
Well, let's tell all of our friends that are listening to this why they want to pay attention to this, and that's all of us don't want to pay any more taxes than we legally need to pay.
Amen.
And I'm going back a long ways in time, but before the Tax Reform Act of 1986, you could do double declining on real estate, and you could do all sorts of things that would allow you to zero out your taxes. But these days, it's more of a challenge, and I realized 4 or 5 years ago that I could greatly reduce, if not eliminate, most of the taxes that I owed because of my real estate investments, because of cryptocurrency, because of other types of things that we all do via collectibles. And I'm going to give you an example at the front end of this, and then we'll talk about it in the cryptocurrencies. A lot of us have things that either we've inherited or we know currently are at our parents' or grandparents' homes, or we've got stuff just laying around in the garage. And to us, it may be trash, but to somebody else, it may be a treasure to them. So I took a painting that I had had for a lot of years, and I went down to a local university, and I said, could I donate to this? Would you like to put this into your library, into your special collections? And they said, wow, we'd be honored. We'd love to have it. So I took it down, I gave it to them, and they give me a form now that I simply include with my taxes, where an independent appraiser says what the value is of the donation. Well, the donation, Ron, that I made, this painting, was appraised at nearly $100,000, and It just cost me a fraction of that earlier. So boom, right off the bat, that's a big reduction in your adjusted gross income. I'm not an accountant, by the way. I'm not a CPA, any of that stuff. I have good people that help me with that. So Ron, every year now, for years, in December, I make donations to a library, a school, a university, and I get a lot of these legitimate write-offs of things that maybe, I don't know, 20 years ago. I'll give you another example right here. And if we're not on the wrong track, you get me back where I should go. I recently discovered a bunch of old comic books that I had bought when I was 13 years old, so like 50 plus years ago. And just for the fun of it, I threw one of them up on eBay, and within 10 minutes, someone offered me $1,300 for it. Now, that comic, Ron, cost me 10 cents a long time ago. I don't know what the rate of return is from 10 cents to $1,300, but it was pretty exciting because I found like 500 or 600 of these. And so not only can you make money from collectibles, and I can show you what I've been doing on eBay and Craigslist and other things like that, but you can use it primarily to offset all the positive cash flows that we're getting from our real estate and other businesses. That make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. But the first question is going to be, why don't I just sell it and take the money?
Well, because, thank you. And you don't want to sell it because if you sell it, again, I'm not a CPA, but if you sell something, now there's a taxable gain, unless in real estate we do something like a 1031 exchange. But and so why would I take a painting? And I will just use some numbers here. Let's say I paid $10,000 for the painting, whatever, and now it's appraised for $100,000. I get to write off the appraised value, the $100,000, not what I paid for it. If I had sold it first, I'd have to pay taxes on the gain. But doing it this way, there's no taxes at all. I'll give you an example. Some people like to contribute to their favorite charity or to their church appreciated stock that maybe when they got it was worth, I don't know. I've given a lot of Apple stock and a lot of IBM stock to various charities that I work with. And when I got it, it was just $25 or something. But now, I don't know what IBM is today, 190 or something. And you can look at some of the other prices on Apple, which is through the roof. But you're getting all the benefits without the taxes.
Okay, so, but I'm still giving up the money that I could get if I sold the thing, is what my point is.
Well,
correct?
You are, but wouldn't you rather save $40,000 in taxes as opposed to having maybe an extra $5,000 or $6,000 cash in your pocket?
Well, probably. I mean, that does make economical sense. But Wright, I'm thinking of all the crap that people. The key here is, though, if I'm going to donate something to charity, it's got to be a legitimate charity that can give me a form that tells me what the value is, because the IRS is going to demand that. I know my CPA demands it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's got to be a way to determine the value on it, and you can't be the one determining the value on it.
No.
But so does the person you're donating this stuff to actually get that valuation done, or you got to do it before you donate it?
Oh, it just needs to be done within a certain time frame after you make the donation. It can be done before, it can be done after, but you just get a form from the organization. You then just get an independent appraiser who just puts down what the value is, and you attach that with your taxes when you send it in. You get
the appraiser. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
And it probably costs nothing to get these appraisals, right?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously appraisers are going to charge you a little bit, but I mean, if you have a working relationship with and you're referring business to them, yeah, sometimes they'll do it for nothing.
So even if I've got a car laying around, I'd probably be better off donating it at, it's easy to determine value, incidentally, than trying to sell it and take less cash and take the deduction. And in today's world,
in fact, Ron, it's interesting. The other day on the radio in the car, I heard someone saying, we'll take any car, any condition, and give you $3,500 for it if you donate it to us, because we use the monies to help people with kidney transplants. So the nice thing, you've got an older car sitting around that's not even worth that. It benefits someone else, but you also get a deduction.
We can do the same thing on real estate too, can't we? I did one last year. I had a little piece of crap house on the other side of town. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it was a piece of crap. I wouldn't have never renovated it. But I paid $6,000 for it. But I did donate it to a charity, and they gave me an appraisal on it for $20,000. So I'm happy with that. So basically,
this is the principle.
What I got was about a $7,500 tax deduction for something that I paid $6,000 for. So, and plus it was easier than trying to sell it. So,
and I've done the same thing. You'll find that some organizations don't mind even taking undeveloped raw land. There's so many things that our listeners over the years, they've gotten into so many niches in real estate. They've gone to auction sales where they bought land or properties. And if you've got something on your books that you know's gone up in value, but either maybe it's not the right time to sell it or you don't think you'll get out of it what it's worth, you ought to take a look at donating to somebody.
Here's another idea that you just gave me. Why don't I go to tax deed sales and buy pieces of land for a few $100s, which is quite common, and then donate them to places like Habitat for Humanity for free for thousands of dollars, and literally get a lot bigger tax write-off than I paid for the thing that I got so cheap. Right? Pretty easy to determine.
Absolutely. In fact, that's one of the things I talk about. I'm bringing up a name from the past here, but we have a mutual friend. Remember John Beck years ago that had bought and sold like 4,000 plus properties? He came out once to where I live, stayed overnight in our home, and we drove to one of these tax sales the next day. And I remember he helped me buy like 21 pieces of property for less than $2,000. And over the years, just being able to either sell them off or donate them, boy, the rate of return on that has been fantastic.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to say about collectibles before I switch gears on you?
Well, I do, because I know this doesn't have, initially, it doesn't have a lot of wowie factor, but I believe that just about everybody listening to this, unless their mothers threw it away when they were little, some listeners maybe collected dolls, some collected baseball cards or hockey cards, others collected comics, some had coin collections, some people have inherited art or a rare book. I'm just saying, I think every single person listening to this phone call, whether they have any interest or not in collectibles per se, can use items around their home that maybe they might just take down to the local Salvation Army or just, one of those donation places. And you might have a wonderful item that you could donate that will help you substantially on your taxes this year or next or in the future.
So you're saying if you're going to give it away, might as well get a tax deduction for it.
Yes. I mean, it's just, Ron, you and I have been investors a long time. And one of the things that's quite exciting is to find, I love to be working not only on a real estate project, but dealing on cryptocurrencies or finding some collectibles or putting together a free trip that my wife and I can take somewhere with miles and points. And it's just fun to maximize everything, but it's more fun to share the knowledge with our children, our grandchildren, our clients, because why not help other people learn from not only our mistakes, but from our successes?
Okay. All right. Well, then talk to me about cryptocurrency. What are you doing in that world right now?
I am. And again, this may sound crazy for those people that are following this. I'm buying right now. It's since, just a quick overview for people that have never gotten into cryptocurrencies. A year ago, they were just going out of sight. It was like a rocket ship. It was just going up so fast and hitting all-time highs, and you could, oh my goodness, double and triple your money. But this particular year we're in now has been a quiet year. It's been quiet in the sense that different regulatory agencies are figuring the best way to approach this, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to put it into the major stock brokerage houses and this, that, and the other. And the cryptocurrencies are actually off a little bit. Well, more than a little bit, they're off from their all-time highs. Here's what I'd say for your listeners on this, Ron. There used to be at one point like over 1,200 cryptocurrencies, but there's 3 or 4 that are the bigger ones that have the highest market capitalization rate. And the number one is Bitcoin, which I'm sure most people have heard of. I quite frankly am buying Bitcoin because I believe very strongly that as these regulatory things get worked out and it's approved to trade as gold and other precious metals and things of that nature get sold, I really think that a lot of experts, a lot of very smart people think that this is going to go up, 5, 10, 20 times or more in the next couple of years. I'll give you an example without mentioning any names. One of my oldest son's closest friends was fortunate enough to buy several 100,000, and I'm saying that correctly. He's got like 300,000 Bitcoin But he didn't buy them at their current price of $6,500. He bought them back when they were like a penny or a nickel or a dime, and he's just held on to them. And what I want your listeners to understand on this today is that now is a wonderful opportunity to buy, as long as you can be patient and hold on for 3 to 6 months. Ron, if I get some liquid cash coming in from one of my ventures, rather than stick it into my local bank where they're paying me less than 1% on my money right now, I'll just buy some Bitcoin. And you don't have to buy an entire Bitcoin. You can buy a fraction of it. I'll just put it in that, because my chances of that going up 5, 10, 15% in a few months are excellent, as compared to getting nothing, letting a bank hold it for you. That makes sense?
And yeah, what is the price of Bitcoin as we tape this today? You know?
I'm sorry. I glanced at it this morning. I want to say it's either like $6,400 or $6,500. And Ron, you have to understand. I'll talk about this. I've talked about it at some of your summits. I'll talk about it at upcoming summits. I'll give people all the information they need to know how to do this properly and correctly. But I've got family members that are crypto millionaires because they bought Bitcoin and these others when they were just, pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
I waited. I didn't buy mine until it was like $1,200. But even so, at its current value, it's gone up 400 or 500% in the last year, which is a pretty good rate of return, better than most things we're doing.
Okay. Well, I agree. In fact, I've been studying it very carefully. In fact, I own a little bit myself. And let's go back a minute. First of all, you said there's a lot of Bitcoins out there. Some of them are garbage. So, in my worthless opinion, you better stick to the ones that we know are real and that there is a real market for. I think the next one on your list was Ethereum, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, yes. Just in no particular order, but in terms of cap rate, things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash.
Let's spell that. Ethereum, in case you didn't get that. And then Litecoin, Lite coin.
Right.
Okay,
and then Ron, can I say, if people are listening to this right now, I personally, Wright and Janet Thurston, we're only buying Bitcoin. The others are just have had their bigger fluctuations. My comfort level, and I even bought a couple. I've got a few that only cost me pennies to get of newer issues coming out. That's very speculative. If someone has some money, $100, $500, I think they're best off putting it into Bitcoin.
Well, it's probably a better place to put it than a bank account where you get nothing. Now,
well,
of course,
absolutely.
Of course, right. As soon as we tell everybody to go buy Bitcoin, it's going to go down to about 50% of its value, don't you?
Well, yeah, but Ron, and let's make clear on this. You and I are not licensed securities brokers. We're not telling people what to do. We're just telling them what we've done. But I've got to say that, I've been a real estate investor like you have for close to 40 years now, and I'll always do real estate. But when I look at the returns that I've gotten from cryptocurrencies in the year and a half I've been into it, there's nothing that compares to it.
Absolutely. And as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the next exploding industries. Everything that I've ever read or heard about it, it very well could be our currency one day in the not too distant future. It's already currency for a lot of businesses and companies. In fact, big companies are getting into the cryptocurrency. Big companies like like all the big boys that have been around for a long time, because of its potential value. The regulations that it's going through right now, they're going to come out on the other end. The feds are not going to shut it down. Frankly, they are probably even looking for ways to use it themselves to replace or at least add to our current currency. So just the fact that it's going to be one of the next exploding industries tells me that it's got no place to go but up. But,
right. And Ron, let me say something for your people, because I know not everyone, this is an elite group that we're talking to that'll be hearing this. So let me just throw something out there for them to think about that I know you and I are aware of. I know for a fact it's public record that major corporations like Amazon and Alibaba and eBay have applied for their own cryptocurrency names and websites.
Including Amazon. Yeah.
Exactly. And so when Amazon starts saying, we have our own cryptocurrency and you can buy and sell stuff on Amazon using our cryptocurrency, those things are going to explode. And that's exactly what we need to position ourselves for. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, it's very difficult to sit here today looking at a new exploding industry and say to ourselves, well, how do we know it's going to go up? And think back, how did you know Apple was going to go up? How did you know Microsoft was going to go up? How did you know any of these life-changing opportunities that come along are going to go? You don't. But on the other hand, we've all been told that it's nice to diversify. Nobody would suggest you ever put most of your assets into cryptocurrency. On the other hand, I've seen a lot of people become very wealthy from cryptocurrency. In fact, let me just use gold for an example here. I remember buying gold at $295 an ounce, and I remember selling it at $1,850 an ounce. A few years later, yes, and I had to hold on to it. But I remember what happened to it. Oh, it's back down now, but it's going to go back up. It's never going to go away. And I don't think cryptocurrency will as well. So, guys, use your own best judgment, guys. But we get so involved in real estate and making a living and running businesses, we forget that there's some things we ought to be taking a little bit of money and looking toward those new and exploding industries and investing in it on the front end before they go crazy. In fact, Wright, I think cryptocurrency topped $20,000, didn't it? Last year,
close. Yep, almost. It got to like 19,000 plus before it had an adjustment.
So what if you were one of those people that paid $200 for it back then and then sold it at $20,000? And that's how these people got very, very wealthy. But they had the guts to hang in there. And as far as I can tell, the biggest mistake people make is the first time it takes a dive, they bail out and they get scared and they take a hit. They just relax and sit there and wait for it to go back up. Of course, that same thing applies to the stock markets.
Ron, let me say something for your listeners here too. And when I'm at your summit with you, I'll talk about this and I'll show graphs and charts that anyone can understand. But at least in the year when Bitcoin and the others had these meteoric rises, I mean, literally where they would go from $1,000 up to $19,000. Every time they hit a high, a month or two later, they adjusted and went down 30 or 40%. And and if you were just patient and waited, it would hit another high. And we're just going through an adjustment period now. I can say the people that I know that are major players in cryptocurrencies, and I know these people through one of my sons, nobody's selling. Everybody's buying at these lower prices. Everybody's holding. These are the people that really understand far better than I do what's going on. I have no insider information, but I just know, as I said, I'm buying Bitcoin here and there, building it up at this lower price so that when it is back up to 20,000, or some have predicted that it could be as much as 100,000 or a lot more than that, it'll be a wonderful return on our investment.
Yeah. And I want to point out something else. You said a while ago you think it was $6,700 today. We don't know, but you don't have to have $6,700 to buy Bitcoin. You put $500 into Bitcoin, and the point is $6,700 turns into 13,000. Your 500 just turned into 1,000. So whatever percentage that it raises. Right, I'm going to bring up a subject you and I did not discuss because there's another industry that is, as far as I'm concerned, is very about ready to explode as well, and that's pot stocks. I'm buying pot stocks.
Ron, I'm the wrong guy to talk to about that.
Yeah. I know. I'm talking to a Mormon here, folks. Okay. All right, but it's the same philosophy. I don't have to buy the pot to buy the pot stock, But
I'm going to stick to the cryptocurrencies myself. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, if it's okay with you, you're going to be talking about crypto and a couple other things at the summit next year.
Yes.
I'm definitely going to. I'm going to be talking about pot stocks because I'm doing pretty good on those as well, sir.
Ron, let me throw in here, and I know we're just about out of time on this, but I wanted to just say that over the course of my life, I've gone past the 10 million mile mark in traveling.
Holy moly.
A lot of flights, a lot of travels. And one of the things my clients have really been loving is I've been showing them a lot of the things I've learned over the last 30, 40 years on the secrets of free and discounted travel that any person at your summit or anyone listening can take advantage of. So we're going to be talking about cryptocurrencies. We're going to be talking about free and discounted travel. We're going to show them a little bit more how to make this collectible thing reduce their taxes. And we're going to talk on some real estate. So I'm going to have 4 or 5 different ways they can earn or save an extra $100,000 here in the next 12 months.
And that, my friend, is why we have these summits, to create ways for you to make money and protect money and grow money, and both inside and outside of your IRA, which incidentally is a whole other subject we're not going to talk about today. But that's why we do the summit, to give you, expand your horizons, to let you see things that you're never going to be exposed to before. Right? You're going to give away. You're going to give away
like-minded people. Yeah.
You got a very cool gift you're going to give our listeners today. Describe it for me, because I think I'm in it, aren't I?
You are in it. It's kind of fun. A mutual friend of ours asked Ron and I and 44 other of our friends, names that most of you would recognize, and they asked us each to write a chapter. And this book is entitled The Best Investment Deal I Ever Did. And so there are 46 life-changing stories from successful entrepreneurs like Ron LeGrand and myself and lots of other names you've recognized. And we're just telling you about a deal that, quite frankly, changed our lives, that we've then shared that formula with others. And I'd like to give a free digital download of that as a thank you for you listening to the podcast today.
Okay, how do we get it?
Ron, you're going to have to help me with that. Yeah, what's the...
The Mentor Podcast / what, right?
Let's call it, no, let's make it easier than that. Let's call it Success Book, okay? Just SUCC.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Got to get The Mentor Podcast / in there first, Success Book, all right?
Right.
Okay. They know how to spell success, I hope. And I hope they know how to spell book. Okay. All right. And no spaces in the middle. Just anyway, you'll figure it out. Okay. So that's a cool book. I like to have a copy of that myself. So I just wrote that down. And obviously, you know where to get all my stuff. You can go to ronlegrand.com and get all kinds of free stuff, including my book and my audio book. Right? Have you ever read a book and made an audio book out of it?
I have. In fact, Ron, I've listened to yours, and I think it's tremendous information at a very reasonable cost. And one of my favorite sayings, I think Ben Franklin said this years ago. He said something like, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And you've got to invest in yourself, in your future, in your family's future. And obviously, because of all the successful clients you have around the world, your things are working and are helping change lives.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, that was a hard job for me. I mean, that was misery. Sitting there and reading my own book on tape. Give me a root canal. I don't want to do that again if I can help it. All right. Anyway, look, man, it's been a real pleasure working with you today. And it's been a real pleasure working with you over the years, because you are one prince of a guy, and can't wait to see you in January when we get together in Nashville.
That'll be great.
Guys, we are full for Nashville, but keep an eye on it. We're trying to free up some more seats, whether we do or whether we don't. Just make sure that you know. Go to RES 2019, and you'll know if there's any seats available right now. There aren't, but I think we've got some coming up here pretty soon. So anyway, right, let's do that one more time. I want to get that. The Mentor Podcast / Success Book. You guys go get and download that book. Now, it's not a new book. That's been around a while, but I can tell you that the stories that are in that book are just as relative today as the day that book was written.
But Ron, let's just say that book was never sold in stores. It was done by a gentleman who wanted his very best clients to know from 46 of us like you and I what the best thing we ever did is. So it's kind of a timeless book, and I think people are going to love the stories in it to motivate and teach them and inspire them.
In fact, Mark Harrelson's got a chapter in there, doesn't he?
Oh, listen, legends that helped you and I, Nick Kuhn, Bill Nickerson, but a lot of current people in it too besides you and I. Raymond Aaron from Canada's in it. All sorts of names that your listeners will know and have learned from in the past.
All right. Okay. Well, sir, thank you very much for working with us today, and I'll see you very soon, I hope.
Appreciate it, Ron. Thanks so much. Okay.
All
bye-bye
right.
now.
Bye-bye. See you next time.
That's all for this edition of the Mentor Podcast. To connect with Ron and learn how you can attain financial freedom, as well as up-to-date strategies to grow and protect your wealth based on today's discussion, go to www.connectwiththementor.com.